Small signal, big shift, how to know. If it's the job or you, there's a specific kind of tired that has nothing to do with sleep. You wake up, and before your feet hit the floor, there's already a weight in your chest. Not dramatic, not a crisis, just heavy. You get through the day, you do the work, nobody would look at you and think anything's wrong. But something is off. And here's the question that's been sitting underneath all of it, the one you keep almost asking yourself and then swallowing back down. Is it the job or is it me? That question is more dangerous than it sounds, because if you answer it wrong, you either quit a job that could have been fixed, or you stay in one that's quietly costing you years. So today, I'm not going to tell you to follow your passion or just push through. I'm going to give you a way to actually find out which one it is. Real signals, not vibes. Let's get into it. Here's why most people get stuck circling this question for years instead of answering it. Job dissatisfaction and self-dissatisfaction feel almost identical from the inside. Both show up as low energy. Both show up as dread. Both make you snap at people you love for no real reason. Your body doesn't hand you a labeled diagnosis. It just gives you the same flat, heavy static either way. So people default to one of two false shortcuts. Shortcut 1. Blame the job. New job, new title, new company. Surely that will fix it. And sometimes it does. But a lot of people do this 2, 3, 4 times, and the heaviness follows them anyway, because they never actually diagnosed anything. They just changed the scenery. Shortcut 2. Blame yourself. I should be more disciplined. I should want this more. Other people manage. This one's worse, honestly, because it turns a solvable problem into a character flaw. And once you believe it's a character flaw, you stop looking for solutions. You just start managing shame. Both shortcuts feel like answers. Neither one is a diagnosis. What you actually need is a way to separate the signal from the noise. And that's what the rest of this is. I want to give you 3 signals, not feelings. Signals. Things you can actually check almost like symptoms, that point toward one direction or the other. Signal 1. Does the dread travel with the task or with the place? This is the biggest one, so sit with it for a second. Think about a specific task you have to do this week, not work in general. One actual task, a report, a meeting, a call with a difficult client. Now ask, if you did that exact same task with the exact same content but for a company you respected, with people you liked and it was recognized and valued, would you still dread it? If the answer is yes, if the task itself feels hollow no matter who's asking for it, that's a strong signal pointing toward you. Not something's wrong with you, but toward a mismatch between the actual nature of the work and what genuinely energizes you. That's worth knowing because no company culture fixes a fundamental content mismatch. If the answer is no, if you can picture doing that same task happily somewhere else with different people, different recognition, that's a strong signal pointing toward the job. The task isn't the problem. The container around it is. Most people have never separated these two things. They just feel, I don't want to do this and stop there. But what you don't want to do versus where you don't want to do it, those point in completely different directions. Signal 2. Where does your energy actually go during the day? Here's a simple exercise. For the next few days, you don't need to start today, just soon, jot down, roughly, when you felt a flicker of energy at work. Not happiness necessarily, energy. Engagement, the opposite of that flat static feeling. Then look at the pattern. If the flickers show up only outside actual work, lunch with a co-worker, the 5 minutes before a meeting starts, the walk to get coffee, and never once during the actual tasks themselves, that's leaning toward a content problem. The work itself isn't feeding you, regardless of environment. But if the flickers show up during certain tasks, a specific project, a specific kind of problem solving, a specific interaction, and just get smothered by everything else around them, that's often an environment problem. There's something real in there. It's just getting buried by bad management, bad culture, unclear expectations, or plain overload. This one takes a few days to see clearly, and that's fine. Some signals aren't instant. They need a little observation. Signal 3. What happens on a genuinely good day? This is the one people skip, and it's maybe the most revealing. Think back to the best work day you've had in the last few months. Not a perfect day, just a noticeably good one. What made it good? If it was about what you did, you solved something hard, you learned something, you built something you were proud of. That tells you something important. You still have real engagement available. It's not gone. It's just being crowded out most days. If it was about what didn't happen, no meetings, nobody bothered you, you got to leave early. That's worth noticing too. It might mean the environment itself has become the main source of drain, and any day it backs off, you feel human again. Either answer is useful. Neither one is bad news. They just point you in different directions. So let's bring these together, because on their own, they're just observations. Together, they start to form a picture. If most of your signals point toward the task itself, the dread travels with you no matter the setting. Energy never shows up during actual work. Good days are about achievement, but even that's rare. That's usually less about this particular job and more about a mismatch between the nature of the work and what actually engages you. That might mean a different role, even a different field. Not because you're broken, because you're in the wrong shape of work for how you're wired. If most of your signals point toward the environment, the dread lifts when you imagine the same tasks elsewhere. Energy flickers during specific work but gets buried. Good days are about relief rather than accomplishment. That's usually a job problem, not a you problem, and that's actually the more fixable one. Sometimes it's fixable where you are. Sometimes it means the door out is the right move, but at least now you know what you're solving for. And if you're getting a mixed signal, some of both, that's not a failure of the framework. That's honest. Most real situations are a blend. The point isn't to get a clean, tidy verdict. The point is to stop treating this as one unsolvable fog and start seeing it as a few separate answerable questions. Okay, so say you've sat with these 3 signals, what now? If it's leaning toward the job, before you make any big decision, try one small experiment first. Ask for one specific change, a different project, more autonomy on one task, a shift in who you report to for one thing, not a full renegotiation of your career. One variable. If changing that one thing measurably lifts the static, even a little, that's real evidence the environment is the lever. If it changes nothing, that's information too. It tells you the problem might be bigger than any one fix, and it's honest data for your next move. If it's leaning toward you, this is not a life sentence. It just means the search needs to go one level deeper than a better version of what I'm already doing. Look at the moments, even small ones, where signal 3 showed up. The specific kind of task that gave you energy on a good day. That's a thread. Pull on it. Not what job should I have in the abstract, but more of that specific kind of problem, less of the kind that drains me. That's a much more answerable question than what's my passion. Either way, and this part matters, don't make the decision in the same week you feel the worst. Big moves made from exhaustion tend to just relocate the exhaustion. Use this framework to get clarity first. Let the clarity, not the fatigue, make the call. Here's what I want you to take from this. You are not lazy for feeling stuck, and you're not automatically right to blame the job either. The truth is usually more specific than either of those stories, and specific things can actually be solved. Vague ones just get carried around. So this week, don't ask yourself the big, foggy question anymore. Don't ask, is this the right job for me? Ask the smaller ones. Does the dread travel with the task or the place? Where did your energy actually go today? What made your last good day good? Small signals, but they add up to something real. If this gave you something to think about, sit with it before you do anything drastic. And if you want more of this, real frameworks, not just motivation, I'll see you in the next one.